Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back, friends. Yeah, so last session was pretty crazy. Two of our buddies were dead. Yeah, you guys were dead, honestly. You guys were dead because you were revived, right? You were revived by this being. Yeah, I got a little bit of the slideshow again as a reminder. And in their deaths, they saw crazy, scary shit. Basically, does anyone have a guess as to what Lyx and Sneak saw? The big spiritual thing, amalgamation thing,
It was
reaching
like a
out.
cow, wasn't it? Oh no,
No,
that thing.
eventually.
Oh
Yeah, that
yeah,
this
I don't
thing.
know what that is. No.
That thing, I don't know, kind of reminded me of like a biblical angel type beat thing. Like the hands were kind of scary.
Yeah, it had like multiple hands. I couldn't get like the best image generated from AI crap or whatever, but yeah, it basically had like a bunch of hands like popping out of it. Not like Dr. Octopus, but almost like a stream of hands that just kept spreading out and out. And it just had multiple voices and all kinds of screaming and horrifying sounds. Truly an entity of many. And basically it was chasing down, or sorry, Abby, were you gonna say something?
I was just gonna say, I thought it was the orb trying to like suck us in.
So the morning flame trying to suck you guys in after you guys died,
hmm
Yeah,
perhaps.
that's about what I thought too. Something connected with Soth and their
Yeah.
dual creation. Maybe this is like the not physical embodiment because the orb is in our world, but like the ethereal embodiment,
Right.
something. That's my general guess.
Yeah, I'll just say I know there's a lot of plot threads. Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah, you guys might remember like Istis calling out, saying like don't die to Soth, right? And you kind of saw a hint at maybe what he was getting at. So yeah, this was the morning flame, the amalgamation of these beings inside this orb, but as you said, kind of in another plane, right? In the astral plane, ethereal plane, whatever you want to call it, reaching out, trying to pull you into itself, maybe, to itself, to the darkness, to join it until you're the benevolent, the big cow, the big ox, whatever you want to call it, kind of in its own ethereal, astral version, kind of comes in and saves the day, blasts through, cuts through in this giant radiant version of itself, splitting this being in all kinds of forms and shapes. And it keeps chasing and chasing and chasing, but you're the benevolent, skipping through the stars. The sky of the astral plane escapes until Lyx and Sneak, you have kind of separate experiences. Honestly, just chilling, right? Kind of chilling, recovering, talking a little bit, but maybe reminiscing, reflecting, resting. I know you were meditating, Sneak, and Lyx, you
Yeah,
kind of, yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say after like in the process of Sneak dying, he was really regretting doing it. And
Yeah.
then when he was, when he was like gonna swear he was gonna be a ghost, and then when he eventually died, he felt like a sense of peace. And when he got here, he just wanted to be in that meditative stance, he wanted to sit there and be still for a minute.
That's interesting. Yeah, so like Sneak kind of accepted, like, damn it, I messed up, I'm dead. And then he was kind of accepting it, right? And then he got here in this weird space of being saved or maybe still death. And you're still like, I was kind of chilling. So that makes sense. That's cool.
Yep.
Yeah, you guys had, I think, pretty good experiences with your not super conversation heavy, but nice, good vibes. Our big ox friend. And Lix, I know you ended up fishing and walking down to the river. Yep. And then you started hearing some singing coming from beyond. And Sneak, you felt like the warm embrace of someone. And later you find out, well, out of character, you guys find out, your parents were there for you, right? And, meanwhile, Melvin and Willow were just kind of touching base with one another. A little bit of tension there between the two from Melvin slash Melodia's, how do I put it, not joining the team. Not joining the team on the dragon, but still saving an ally and friend in Levna Drakehorn, our Knight of Solamnia. Yeah, I don't know if you guys want to add to any of that. But yeah, you guys see Sneak and Lyx being saved by friends and allies, right? Friends, family, and allies in wacky ways. And they, just in the nick of time, just like Marshall and Nestra, were recovered. They were recovered by Yor the Benevolent, the giant ox that chills in the center of the White Robes mini city within this city. Willow, you picked up new fans, as always, as you tend to. But it seems like the crowds in general are aware of the Bronze Bombers now and their exploits. But Willow, you and Vetus, save the Marshal, right? Like kind of the hero, the main hero of Calaman at the moment. So pretty big deal there.
Sneak and Licks are in this like suspended animation sleep slumber, and we're both like kind of guarding over their bodies silently. Melvin tried to gain sort of guidance, but we're kind of coming up short. Things are kind of dire for the Browns Bombers. People may know us, but now they know us, and we are low key struggling a little bit right now. So, yeah.
Yeah, two of you are out for the count. And yep, you guys kind of like a lot of people visit Lyx and Sneak. Oh, Lyx, go ahead, jump in.
Honestly, I don't even know because we've been playing so back to back if this was last session. But Melodia surprised Theriatis
Oh, right, yes.
and got invited to like perform at a very exciting, enticing party.
Yes. Yeah, we kind of had closure there with your scene, Melvin / Melodia, where, with Theriatis and his posse, they finish off Sir Tautus, the now, at that moment, the undead Minotaur, the skeletal Minotaur. Theriatis was taken aback by Melodia, the little bit that he got to see of her, and he really, really wants to see her again, and invited her and you and whomever you want, or at least, for those invites, to his big party in a couple weeks. So you should have that invite in your Roll20. I think I added it to everyone's journal just so you all could see it.
In fact, it's Theri presents party till you print party no mo.
Exactly. Yep. So yes, very important actually. Yep. I mean, big deal. Theriatis is kind of a mini celebrity among the politicians in Calaman. Pretty big-ish deal. And
Did someone vanish the DM?
What do? We don't have guidance without the DM. Please keep some of this in.
Anarchy!
Wait, I'm actually gonna text him everything.
We govern ourselves now.
Wait, is he back?
Hello?
Are y'all back?
I don't know what happened.
Well, that's hilarious. So Abby, you were delivering beer at the same time that I got kicked out. That's hilarious. So Abby was being nice, and that's why she left. But for some reason, my Zoom just like kicked me out. Hopefully that doesn't happen again. I'm back.
Don't worry, we behaved.
Cool. But yeah, and then we had some really cool emotional moments with the characters, kind of like, some people were apologizing to Lyx and Sneak to their unconscious bodies, right? Some people were just being there with them. Sneak's mom just decides to just hop in, and she's just going to chill with him for the foreseeable future, it seems. Melvin, I remember you had a cool moment where you tried to cast some healing magic on Lyx, and it seemed to or you did a restoration spell, so trying to like kind of remove a curse.
A lesser restoration didn't work.
Yeah, it seemed to like do a little something. It did something for a little, and then it just kind of came back, right? Everything came back. I got the demon boy here with me. Hello, children. And then we had a really cool moment where Lord Bacars the Younger shows up, maybe shocking Willow and Melvin a little bit. And he just was a little, I mean, I don't want to speak too much from how I see it, but, he was just clarifying like, wow, so this is a red dragon. You guys were, Vogler was attacked by hundreds of these or whatever, at least dozens, right? And you guys kind of had a tense exchange there, mostly Willow, but Melvin, you tried to mellow the situation. But yeah, I'm interested to hear how you guys saw that, because I don't want to give too much of my, bias.
I saw it through the back of my eyelids because I was in a coma.
It's true.
On Willow's part, with him, it's kind of on site, so it's a good thing that Melvin kind of like nudged her to not, because he's got a very punchable face, is about all she thinks.
Melodia is the type to like take heads, but Melvin is the type to be like promote peace, wacky tobacco. So there's that side, kind of frustration, I think.
Do you feel those things like simultaneously? Like as Melvin Melodia, is it like, what does that feel like?
Like, can they like watch each other's experience? Is that what you kind of asking?
Kind of, yeah.
Maybe snippets. Maybe things get, a little mixed up, but I won't say more.
Yeah, and then I genuinely can't super remember how we ended, besides you guys were called to the High Council meeting. It's an emergency High Council meeting. Unfortunately, Sneak and Lyx are still unconscious because this is the day of still. And yeah, you basically were called immediately, along with Levna, to recount what happened, to talk like what's the next steps. And I can kind of redo some of that Commander Gaia stuff that I did at the end, just to refresh everyone's memories. Do you guys want to chat about your High Council characters again? Like a reintroduction, or maybe if you want, you can maybe explain what your character was doing during the attack. But this doesn't have to be like your character saying this at the meeting. It could just be improv here if you want to do that, to kind of remind us all what this character is like. Is anyone comfortable trying that out? Just giving that a go? We got a hand. We got Thaddeus. Okay, we got Thaddeus. We got Ailming Tiois. Yeah, so I can add a little bit of atmosphere to this. Well, unless you're like super underground for some weird reason, you would probably be hearing this as Calaman, all of a sudden there's a giant explosion from Lord Thought's attack. You know, some time passes, and then boom, a dragon shows up, starts flying around, burning scorpions on the walls of Castle Calaman. So whomever wants to go can kind of talk about these 7 to 10 minutes of where they were, what they were doing, how this character was feeling, and what happened.
I think Thaddeus would so I guess let me ask real quick, would the High Council be at the ceremony? Would they be there?
That's a good point. The ceremony started disbanding actually, right after Soth. So there'd kind of be that rushing moment there. So from that moment on, your character's free to do what they want. Basically.
Okay, then I think Thaddeus, would rush to the docks because he is essentially like a mobster. You know what I mean? He has tons of money that's there, but this is essentially all bad business. Everything that's happening here is all bad business. He's for his community because his community makes him money. He exploits them, so on and so forth. So Thaddeus, he rushes to the docks and he goes and gets all his men and to make sure that they're okay and they're safe because essentially it's his family. You know, like his little mob family. So he doesn't want to make sure they're okay. All the supplies are good. He want to make sure the docks, that everyone's rushing around, screaming around. You know, he's like, get to the docks. We need to get all our goods. Get him inside. Get the weapons. It might be time to fight. Protect yourself. Protect the people in the community. Go. And then he's out. So is kind of what he's doing within those 7 minutes. He is actually taking the time to hold down the docks.
Conversely, I think Maester Ailmantio, so he's been taking kind of the opposite approach. In fact, he's kind of ushered up into the High Council chamber. He does have a couple servants, if I remember correctly, and so he's immediately.
All of you are definitely wealthy and would have servants, horses, you know, people that take you. So like Thaddeus could easily get to the docks pretty quickly, you know, shoo people away, that kind of stuff. You all those characters have that kind of power.
I think organizing some of health and crises, sending messengers and dispatching units. Even though he's kind of a bad administrator, he can be, if they're on fire, put them out.
I like it. So both kind of unexpected responses. The two council members actually trying to do their job, right? Trying to do some good. I guess that was maybe in the recap we kind of missed this, but Bakaris seemed to show some hesitation about you all. He may have said something about I may have gotten you guys wrong. And then Governor Miat definitely did, right? At the beginning of the High Council meeting, he apologized to the Bronze Bombers. So interestingly enough, it sounds like your High Council members who were sleazebags and are in many ways, or inept or whatever you want to, whatever con you want to give them. Seems like they actually rushed to their job when shit hit the fan.
Onyx did not. Onyx was like, if this is gonna be my last day, I'm gonna go get some good food, and attempted to usher some of her High Council members to dine with her. Did anyone take the bait?
A trembling Alastrius is he's freaking out. He's just looking at the situation. He's like, I could use a wine if this is how we go, if the other hundreds of dragons are coming too. And he actually unexpectedly agrees. He agrees to join you. As, the governor's probably rushing around, immediately trying to get his family. The governor's trying to head into the safest areas of Castle Calaman, secret areas or whatever, with guards and stuff. Commander Gaius definitely rushing his way to get to the governor as soon as possible. But Alastrius, surprisingly, dismisses his servants, says, be free, go to your families, save yourselves, and is willing to join Onyx. So Onyx, where does that go?
I don't know. We head to my favorite little restaurant and tried to demand that people serve us. And it just so happens to be a pretty seedy restaurant.
seedy restaurant, so kind of a secret kind of thing, like a speakeasy kind of vibe.
Yeah.
Like, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they're surprisingly like people are definitely like freaking out and many people are leaving, but there are some kind of shady supervisors in this thing that especially seeing the two high council members show up, they stick around while some of their employees leave. And immediately like Illustrious is like trembling and kind of like drops just a bag of gold and doesn't really say anything, just kind of lets Onyx take the show.
A table for two, please.
And then I guess, yeah, we just eat and nervously await ruin.
Yeah,
Unless
and
Onyx says
there's
anything
no
or...
windows.
Right, no, this is
So
like
it's
maybe
like
kind of underground or something.
enjoying this glass of wine and the bottle keeps like trembling on the table.
I love that. Yeah, like Jurassic Park style. I love that. Yeah. Yeah, Illustrious's wine glass he's already shaking when he grabs. It's always shaking. He grabs it, it's shaking. He puts it on the table, it's shaking. It's just the wine glass is always shaking. There's actually a few other people here. Not many, obviously, but there is Onyx, do a perception check. I feel like Onyx is kind of dumb, so maybe +1 or -1.
18. Well,
Oh.
if it's -1, it's 16.
Okay. Yeah, you notice a very strong-looking New Anesti individual kind of eating very calmly as if nothing's going on, enjoying like slowly cutting like a nice steak. And there is actually another New Anesti there with him, and then another figure in kind of roguish attire. This New Anesti is pretty handsome, has kind of long black hair, very muscular, and has lots of tattoos. Onyx, you notice them. I don't know if Onyx says anything. They're one of the patrons that are still here. There is kind of another pompous-looking nobleman, all alone, just seemingly also drinking out of a wine bottle, seemingly just getting drunk as hell as well. But that's it. It's just the New Anesti, two New Anesti, and another figure you can't really tell, but they seem kind of robed, this pompous aristocrat, and then you and Illustrious.
I think Onyx is like looking over to the New Anesti and seeing how calm, and is like trying to just copy that. Like she wishes she was that cool because she's actually like scared, but she's trying to be chill.
Right.
But
and to be fair, if Maester and Thaddeus want to do perception checks, I'll let you guys do that, just to add a little random flavor to your scenes if you want to. I feel like Thaddeus is probably pretty perceptive. I would agree with him being like a +2, +3, so you could do just do a d20 and add maybe +2, +3.
Okay,
We got Maester. You can't convince me Maester is a very perceptive person, Errol. I think that's a -1. You can roll if you want. Maybe a -2.
It's a 2.
Yes.
No, but right now before the minus.
Oh shit, that's bad. You hear the chaos. You're
19
freaking
for
out.
me.
Nice, Maester. You're maybe thinking like you're a hero in your head, but you are just lost. You're like, yeah, go do that and get the blah blah blah, and you're just like yelling at whatever. You're just like,
Bring the goat's bladder.
Yeah, he's just kind of like he's tweaking but trying to be a hero at the same time. That's awesome. I love that. Thaddeus, you got an 18 or 19, you said?
19.
Okay. There are some like kind of your shady figures going to you, Thaddeus, and saying like things like, should we retreat? Is this the time to leave? And then you kind of say the opposite, right? Of no, we have to fight. And you kind of, Thaddeus, you notice like a lot of your men getting ready, men and women, just like your mix of goons getting ready to kind of just grab stuff and get the hell out. And I'll say that with that great perception check, you kind of like yell at all of them and have the reaction that you shared. Otherwise, Thaddeus, that's a pretty good perception check. I think that Thaddeus catches a glimpse of the dragon kind of stooping close by all of a sudden and sees Marshal Nestor just going pa pa, with back to back with Soth as the bronze bombers that are there kind of try to assist Marshal Nestor jumping in to save Little Sneak a few times, kind of sees a little bit of that epic battle unfold as the dragon swoops down and then back up and gets higher and higher. And Thaddeus is, maybe scared, but he's kind of a pirate asshole guy, so he's not that scared, I'm guessing. Yeah, you can add to that if...
Yeah, 100%. Like, as I think he's barking orders and he sees that, like, the happening of them fighting on the dragon, he's a little bit taken back. It is, like, something surreal for him to see. It's, like, very, it's very intense. And he goes, yeah, back to barking orders after seeing something like that. I think he gets some, like, inspiration. They're out there fighting for this land. We should be out there too, even if I'm being seedy about it.
Awesome. Cool. Anything else I think this is great. I think that this is a little bit of good context to bring into the meeting. Anything else that you guys want to add with any of those characters? Awesome. Fast forward. The attack is done. Sneak and Lyx fell, and I promise you, I think we'll do less. It should stop jumping around in time now. We are back at this meeting, emergency meeting, to discuss what just happened. Commander Gaius and, a few of the council members, the governor welcomes Willow, Melvin, and Sir Drakehorn to this emergency high council meeting. So Lyx and Sneak, you are now Thaddeus and Onyx, right, for this whole section here. And then, we'll skip the whole thing, but basically the governor apologized to you two, and the Bronze Bombers kind of just saying, like, he read you guys wrong and you guys were more honorable than he could have imagined. And Commander Gaius kind of like quickly agrees, but he's really trying to get down to business. He's saying, like, Calaman was attacked today, an egregious attack by what appears to be the Red Dragon army described in Vogler. And he's basically saying, like, he's too cute. Yeah, he's basically like, we have to respond. He has a very aggressive tone. He wants to respond and retaliate. Yeah, he basically just says that it's time to talk about what happened and strategize on how to go forward from here. And I believe, actually, I think Thaddeus and a few of the council members kind of also showed their respect for the Bronze Bombers, kind of pegging them wrong. From there, I mean, Commander Gaius and the governor and everyone kind of ask you, Willow, Levna, and Melvin, and especially you, Willow. They do single you out because you were on the dragon, you saw the marshal, you saw Soth. They want all of you, everything you guys can provide, basically. And the way we can do this is you guys can, if you want to, act this out and say it all, or you can just say as much as whatever amount you want to share. You can say, I tell them everything but blah, 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 or tell them, or you can act it out and we can see how it goes.
Yeah, I think we're down to role play that a bit.
Cool, let's do it.
So they just want to...
Yeah, Commander Gaius says, Willow Venra, please tell us everything you know about this Soth, perhaps the Red Dragon, if you know anything about it, how the Marshal fell, and your friends as well.
Well, that's a lot. If you want to know everything about Soth, back when we first all got together, we were in a mountain back where we came from, and somehow he was released. He destroyed everybody. We only made it out because we had a dragon on our side, which is a whole long story that I won't get into right now because it's not important to that. But he has some connection to the Morning Flame. It somehow calls to him. I think that's how he knew it was here, or maybe he just guessed because that's where all the refugees went. I'm not entirely sure, but he went straight to it, and I don't think anybody who knew where it was could have been able to tell him. He mentioned something about when they were both created after the calamity that they were connected.
And immediately when you say that, like, Alastrius like grabs his beard and is like kind of freaking out and like kind of looking pretty stressed. But yeah, keep going.
Obviously, he is a very, very powerful figure. He could walk straight up a building, which
what is he? Do you know what he is?
Genuinely no. Just
Melvin?
Some very
Levna?
powerful entity.
Melvin or Levna, what is this being? The powers you describe and
Haven't been able to put it down.
the way you describe this being and their actions is as if a godly being.
I think it's straight from somewhere.
Yes, perhaps from the abyss instead. Okay, my apologies, Willow. Continue.
No, it's a lot. He had this weapon that when he, did something to it, the damage seemed to be different. It was necrotic. When he cut, it left dark marks as well. And the only reason we got half my party and Nestor back is because of which I still don't understand, but I'm eternally grateful for his help. So not only is he super powerful, he has access to things that have capabilities I've never seen before, and I've been over a lot of this continent, but I've never seen anything like any of this before. It's been a wild few weeks.
And then Commander Gaius, who's next to Alastrius, looks at Alastrius sternly and says, "What of this Morning Flame? You should know of it, no? It's a relic, ancient art piece or artifact? This is your realm of expertise, Alastrius. Care to tell us more? How did we oversee this so poorly?" And Alastrius looks kind of like taken aback by that and like pretty intimidated. And he's like, I'm sorry, sir. Well, yes, it is. I've told the Bronze Bombers and I've told you all before. Well, not you personally, Commander Gaius, but the High Council that this is an evil artifact. And if it falls into the wrong hands, it could very well lead to disaster. But I don't know its capabilities that well. The mytho history and the legends I do know are the Minotaur societies of the Lucrans used it to annihilate rival clans, but those islands have ever since become rubble and nothing. That's the only stories I've heard escape regarding this object. If what Willow is saying is true, and Soth said something about being born with it, is that what you said, Willow? Alongside it, then perhaps, yes, there is something more there, something beyond our understanding, something perhaps spiritual, and certainly that is not my area of expertise.
I think Melvin, I'm going to shorthand it rather than RP.
Yeah.
Melvin wants to tell them, or just kind of say under his breath, that it happened with Lear Onovis in Mount Quamba, and that they used it to fight off beholders too. It seems as
Mind
if
flayers. Mind flayers.
mind flayers. Sorry.
Beholders would be a whole other shit show.
Wait. So these things.
Yeah, those are mind flayers. Beholders are eyeballs. They're worse.
Yeah.
Beholders are
Okay.
worse. I promise. Well, it depends. A giant colony of mind flayers is very bad, but beholder,
But what's worse is civilization turned to fucking ghouls.
Right. Yeah. And they're all like kind of freaking out about that statement, Melvin, if you're saying it out loud. And Commander Gaius looks at you and says, "Do you have any evidence of this claim, Melvin?"
Let's just say the tide has been working in really different ways, and I can just hear some things sometimes through the tide.
And Theriatis is like, "I can hear a lot of things, but if you ain't got no proof, then what are we gonna do but hear and believe this?"
Can I roll for it?
What are you rolling for?
Persuasion.
You can. It's a lot of people, though. But go ahead. It's pretty high. They believe you, but Commander Gaius says, "You seem like an honest boy, but without evidence, I don't know if we can take this claim of Lyra Novus to heart." And then Elastrius kind of like jumps in and is like, "Well, this was likely the city where we found the Morning Flame initially. It only makes sense. With the resurgence of the tide, that our friend Melvin here may have seen some kind of visions, especially being close to such a horrible artifact. I don't wish to speak for you, Melvin, but perhaps that's what's happening. I'm definitely no expert in this area." And they kind of like rumble.
That I don't really have much of a connection to the tide, but what reason would Melvin have to lie here? What reason would anybody?
The governor kind of steps in and says, "Although I believe I've judged you all wrong, you still don't have my full trust. But I don't see why, in this specific circumstance, discussing this horrible artifact, you would be lying, unless you were traitors, which I see no evidence for." So he kind of calms it down a little bit.
Can Onyx jump in?
Yeah, whoever. Go ahead.
Okay, so in aid of Elastrius, Onyx jumps in and says, "My people have a story of an object called Kalkun Gar, and this object was known to fell armies. It was a bedtime story that we told one another, yes, but I have found that many bedtime stories have many truths in them."
And like people kind of look around, but you see like Theriatis, like, and he like, audibly smacks his like head as he's like getting upset at the direction that this conversation is going. He's like, "All right, listen here. It sounds like none of us really know shit about this tide here, and we're all talking out of our asses. I got a suggestion that we can actually vote on regarding the tide. We need to get those white robes and those red robes off their lazy asses, get their lunar enforcers, their moonlight enforcers, or whatever the hell they're called, and get them to stop fighting for us. That is a whole block right there of powerful people that aren't even helping us in the battle." So yeah, you guys might not know this, but the schools aren't really soldiers. The white robes or the red robes, they don't fight for Calaman. They study and do their thing, their healing arts or their study of knowledge and the arcane.
Thaddeus is going to follow through with what Theriatis just said, and he said, "I agree. We should bring in the white robes and the red robes, and maybe have the bronze bombers work together with them, just to have some sort of supplement of going on. I saw what they did on the dragon, and I truly believe in what they say. I don't believe that Melvin would lie. I believe in what he's saying, and I don't know enough about the magic or the tide or whatever it's called, but I agree with Theriatis. Maybe let's bring the white robes and the red robes out and have them run under Melvin."
Yeah, and the room really gets loud now and angry at this, because this is kind of blasphemy in Calaman. The red robes and the white robes have had a lot of autonomy for many, many years, as you guys kind of know with the black robe story and their control of the tide in the city. So yeah, there's a lot of like kind of murmurings and concerned looks and all that, but it looks like 2 of the High Council members are completely down. Lord Bracaris actually joins in and says, "I'm in complete complete agreement. If we are fighting such ferocious beings, we need every ounce of strength, be it physical or magical, that we can muster.
Melvin's like, well, I certainly can't take over any schools. I don't even know what I'm doing half the time. I can barely control it. It's
Theriata says,
not
whoa,
something.
relax, buddy, relax, buddy. All that my buddy Thaddeus, if I'm hearing him right, he's just suggesting you be a little liaison.
Nonsense.
You
I've seen what the bronze bombers can do on the back of a dragon. I'm sure Melvin Melodia can handle a whole army.
Melvin's gonna look
Okay, now you're talking shit.
All right, go ahead. Go, Melvin.
Levna, like he's gonna like kind of like look towards Levna a little panicked. He's gonna maybe move towards Willow, also a little panicked, but he's gonna look towards like Levna for help or something.
Levna says, "Hello, everyone," and she kind of like looks at the intense room, you know, with her stare, not really intimidated by anything that's going on, but definitely confused a little bit. She says, "My understanding is it would be a big ask to force the white robes and the red robes to fight for us. To have untrained tide users to lead them, that would not pass, considering they have masters who have been leading these schools for centuries even, in some cases. But I do think an in-between here, what Theriatus was getting at, might be a smart approach, have the bronze bombers work closely with the schools to make sure
A big
that...
ask? Our city is burning down. My docks are being turned into
And
rubble.
I fought to protect it.
Well,
While you were out there running your boats, I fought against the blue dragons as well in Kerr.
And she looks at you and like is trying to look very intimidating. And Theriatus is like kind of taking it back. He's like,
We got a feisty one. I like this.
well, that may be the case, but here's the facts. The white robes and the red robes do need to come together and fight. Maybe not Melvin run them, but they need to come together to fight. This is their territory. This is their ground. They should fight for it.
I agree with that.
We may be considered, if I may, talking to them first before making orders, as they have powers which most of us do not have, and might also want to join the fight if they are not forced.
The governor looks kind of nervously at this and kind of looks like Commander Gaius, as he kind of seems unsure of what to say or do right now. Commander Gaius kind of looks at you all and says, the current law does give them quite a hefty amount of autonomy, but perhaps we can trigger some emergency clauses within our systems.
Draft them.
Where all citizens, all citizens, regardless of magical or physical abilities, or citizens of a certain type, will have to fight. All able-bodied citizens. That could be an emergency draft that we can muster, Governor, and I believe that this would fall upon all citizens of Calaman.
Can I insight check that?
Commander Gaius? Sure. Who are you insight checking? There's a lot of people.
Commander Gaius, like
Okay, sure. You believe
14?
You believe it.
Okay.
Seems like he knows his laws.
Well, he's not doing it for any sort of reason, especially like when he looked nervously.
No, that was the governor, so I may have cut out. The governor was looking around. Commander Gaius looks stern, and he's kind of standing and like...
Oh, I'm sorry. I want the governor.
Yeah, no,
My bad.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, even with that 14, you can kind of tell he's a little... He just genuinely seems unsure of this, of how to even loop in the red robes and the white robes. But he looks kind of nervous. He's trying to hide it, but he looks kind of nervous, actually. He looks the most nervous that you've ever seen him.
I think in that if I'm going to switch to Master Alimentos, I think now that there's a little bit of going on, he's going to beckon to one of his little birds, his little runners, and send a couple runners to go order more supplies for the wounded.
Okay. So then the governor kind of like grabs his head and he says, General Rodon, do you have any thoughts here, considering this is a military matter? And then General Rodon, our boy from way back when, who helped defend Vogler, he kind of says, I don't want to be anyone that draws an order to enlist young folks to fight for such a devastating cause, but it seems that we are in an emergency and we have no choice. I think I would push this motion, Governor. And then the governor's like, then we will have an emergency vote now. Basically, if anyone has a nay, say nay. Otherwise, it's a unanimous yes to draft all able-bodied citizens to fight.
Before we vote, Onyx is going to say that it takes more than soldiers to win a war. We need people who cook. We need bricklayers. We need all kinds of people.
And then Theriatis
Forced in-
says, "You're right, but how do we get those goddamn white robes and red robes to fight first then?"
We throw him a pizza party.
Yeah, why don't you invite them to your party?
Hey, what party? What are you talking about? I ain't got no party. Well, I have many parties, but I don't know what you're talking about. And he's actually looking pretty shitty at line right now. Anyways, besides the point, Onyx.
And then the governor actually looks at Theriatis. He says, "Can't you pull some strings, Theriatis? And we can keep some of the citizens here and try and keep some stability. I feel if we push this draft, it might cause more panic and potentially rebellion. It could lead to chaos."
You'd be helping us out, Theriatis.
Well, he says, "Well, I might need your help here too, buddy. I might need to get some stuff in, to get this, get them all feeling good and stuff."
Consider it done.
Fine. I was gonna go visit our dear Marshal very soon, as soon as she was available. But I can swing by the white robes and the red robes first thing tomorrow. How's that sound? With my buddy Thaddeus. I need your good luck and charms, of course. I gotta get some assistance.
I'll agree, but we have to go tonight.
I kind of had a thing, but and then he kind of like bumps nothing. It looks like he's bumping nothing, and he kind of like whispers to nothing. And then you guys kind of hear a little bit of a scuffle, and he's like, "Fine. Tonight it is then."
Okay, so they'll hold off on that vote as Hades and Theriatis are going to try to pull some strings.
I argue this is a good plan of action. As you see by this own example, you catch more flies with honey.
And Ilastrius is like, "I agree. I was going to jump in and say, I thought this was a terrible idea, but we should try and recruit them, especially perhaps the Moonlight Enforcers who are adept in combat already." Yes. Well then, what else, Governor? So Commander Gaius kind of looks at you now, Melvin, and Levna and Willow, and just asks, like, how was the Morning Flame taken? What happened to the guards that were there, etc., the soldiers?
Melvin's gonna think about it, and well, he was able to raise them from the dead. The Morning Flame seems to be able to raise them from the dead, and he kind of looks at Levna.
Yes, it's a very sour subject. As my own squire fell, I saw it as Soth's attack. That flaming attack he did seemed to engulf their skeletons after burning their flesh to nothing. And that seemed to power them, but you may be right. Maybe the Morning Flame empowered that flame. I don't know. So you might remember that the skeletons kind of had like flames inside their bodies and like flaming eyes and stuff. I know not how it worked, but it was obviously the work of Soth and the Flame and the Morning Flame. But they are killable, those beings, it seems. And I was barely able to make it out thanks to, she almost says Melodia, Melvin, of course, High Council member Theriatis. And he's like, "Oh, no problem, sugar. I happened to be at the right place at the right time." Yeah, I mean, she really doesn't have much recollection. She's kind of saying, like, my head was a little woozy from my injuries, she kind of explains, and doesn't remember too well what happened after she was attacked by Sir Tautus. But she knows that she was saved by you and Theriatis eventually, as it seems like everyone else ran out. The marshal just rushed out immediately, along with, of course, the shorties and Willow. Yeah, and then they kind of like get to like, how did the marshal fall? And your friends, how did the marshal and your friends fall? Oh, is Holly gone? Oh no.
So Nestra was incredibly forward with her attacks. She was getting right up in Soth's face and just kept fighting at him, trying to hurt him, and also bravely trying to defend all of us who, despite our own talents, I would argue, are not nearly as strong or as well versed in fighting as she is. And I thought she was passed out. I was holding on to her. I was thinking we were about to have to evacuate, and he was about to kill Sneak, and she just leapt out and got in between, and that's when he did the X on her, right? He ran Sneak through.
Yeah, she blocked all his attacks on Sneak, but then afterwards he reacted to just slash her. Yeah. Slash her to bits. Her to bits, and then finished her off by actually choking her and throwing her off. Yeah.
And as soon as I saw her fall, I turned to my teammates and I told them I had to go, and that's when I dove after her. Luckily, we had
Commander Gaius was just gonna say, so you don't know how Sneak and Lyx fell?
No.
Okay.
No, I had to try to make sure that she didn't hit the ground, and fortunately we had an ally on the ground who happened to be in the perfect spot. I don't know how that happened. I guess thank the gods, but he was able to slow down our fall so we didn't impact with the ground. And from there, I was told to take her to Yor, and that's where I went straight to. I don't know what happened after that. I just know that my friends were brought to me, their lifeless bodies, sometime after that. It wasn't terribly long, but I wasn't paying attention to time either.
I see. Well, we've all thanked you, but you deserve credit again, and you as well, Melvin, for saving two of our most esteemed knights. And hopefully the Marshal can join us again soon, as we will need her now more than ever. And then he just looks concerned. He says, so far, everything that's been described regarding these skeletal beings and even the dragon itself, although the rider seems skilled, as I'm not sure any of my men landed any of their hits. It seems that we can fight back, but this Soth being, if he's able to take down our strongest warrior, along with all of you at the same time, and annihilate entire groups in one blow, he seems to be of critical importance to stopping. The question is how, and perhaps we don't have time for that deliberation, but I leave the High Council with those dreadful thoughts and reflections. Anyways, Onyx, you are correct. We need more than just soldiers. We need resources. We need stronger scorpions. Our wooden scorpions were blown to smithereens by this dragon, a single dragon. We need materials. We need iron. We need steel. We need whatever the mountains of our allies can offer. So perhaps you, and again, Theriatis, I ask for your help in this too, can muster up resources to strengthen our scorpions so that they actually stand a chance against these armies. And Theriatis looks at you, Onyx, and he's kind of like, oh yeah, we can, I'll work with all of you guys, and we're gonna make things so much better here. Onyx, I'm sure you got some great connections in Kaolin, in the Garnet Mountains, or wherever you're from. We can get the dwarves. The dwarves gotta wake up. The dwarves gotta wake up. We're talking about the red robes and the white robes falling asleep. The dwarves have been asleep for ages. We need them to wake up and get over here and help us out.
And what of the elves?
You got an elf right here that's working his ass off right in front of your face trying to help fight this army. You got a new Anesti over there. Illustrious, aren't you like a half-elf or something? We got elves right in front of you. You're the only dwarf I know that's doing any good. So a little bit of racism here. So yeah, you Melvin, everyone do a history check. Fuck it. Everyone do a history check, except maybe Onyx, but you can too. And this would be for Thaddeus, Colton. I'll let you decide his. I feel like he's probably not that intelligent with history.
All right,
maybe,
I agree.
Maybe a +0. Just roll a d20, whatever you get.
Well, he'd have criminal history, but not.
That's true. Maybe not the histories of the world and the peoples of the world.
Does it apply to that? Maybe it could be +1 if it does.
No, it doesn't.
No? Okay, all right,
This
0.
is general,
I'll agree
yeah.
to 0. I'll agree to 0.
A 7, yeah. Melvin, you kind of, Melvin, you know as much as what Theriatis is vomiting right now. That's kind of your impression of all this situation. Oh shit, okay. That's hilarious. So Thaddeus, you would know that, maybe actually this does make sense, Thaddeus, because working at a high level now of government and society, it's kind of known, like after the cataclysm, a lot of, the world kind of became more isolated, but eventually as, years pass, the decades pass, groups start to form again, building new cities, civilizations. Of course, Calaman, the current city you guys are in, has withstood even through the cataclysm, and that's why it's such a diverse, big place. But you would know, Thaddeus, and anyone who rolled well, that the dwarves are really one of the peoples that really just have stayed in their mountains since the cataclysm. They really keep to themselves, generally speaking. Of course, you guys have met dwarves like Onyx. You've met Kujal, right, who is our awesome warrior dwarf who led the Iron Regiment, friend of Becklin, right? But really, there's not many dwarves, if you guys haven't realized. There's not too many dwarves walking about. They seem to keep to themselves. I really think of this is kind of like the Lord of the Rings dwarves, if we're being honest. I'm not thinking of the heroic Gimlis of the world, but more the kingdoms, the dwarf kingdoms. So yeah, Willow, you would kind of know that basic history. Melvin, it sounds like you got a little bit of confusion there with the dwarves.
Can I roll for knowledge on other elves?
Sure, that's okay. I'll take that.
Where are they? What are they up to?
There's many elf groups, yeah.
I know, but like Sylvanesti, Qualinest.
Yeah. Yeah, you can go ahead and roll. Yeah, it's not great. You kind of, yeah, they're diverse. Some of them keep to themselves and some of them intermingle more, but you couldn't like put name to attribute, or these are kind of stereotypes too.
Yeah, that makes sense. Melvin's been in the Underdark.
Yeah, I think it makes
Yeah.
perfect sense.
The education system in Gorge Johannes is kind of bad.
It's suspicious. Cool, we can do a couple more minutes of stuff. Onyx, is there anything you want to follow up with Theriatis' racism or anything? Or with what Commander Geist is saying, like, we need resources. We need to get the dwarves on board now. We got to get some ore. We got to get some rocks.
I will ignore the rude comment because I already challenged Theriatis with the elves, and just say that I will reach out to my contact, the Postmaster General.
And Theriatis says, and I got the strings if you need the coffers. I got the strings to pull the coffers open if you need them, which I'm sure you'll need. Never mind, I'll stop there. Thank you, Onyx. He kind of smiles smugly at you, Onyx, as he says that comment. Yeah, I feel like if I remember, Onyx and Theriatis definitely don't like each other. You see him as like competition for sure.
Yeah.
Because he's the young looking up and comer or whatever. Okay, cool. All right, and then the last thing that I think happens here, unless anyone else wants to bring up anything at all, so we've kind of summarized what's happened. People are talking about the actual attack, some of our initial responses here, trying to get the red robes and white robes on board, fix up the scorpions, pour more funding into the military. Does anyone want to vote against that? They kind of do a quick vote for that. I would imagine that all the council members vote yes for that probably. Ilastrius is a little hesitant. He doesn't really like this conversation at all, but he also seems kind of out of his depth for once. He looks pretty, I don't want to say lost, but he just looks a little distraught. He's a little distraught and out of it. And maybe a little drunk. He was drinking not too long ago. Did someone have their hand raised? I don't know if someone was trying to say something.
When there's a chance to bring it up, I know they mentioned rebuilding and refortifying the scorpions. I think Willow just pipes up a little bit. I think he'd be willing to lend his aid in this endeavor. We have a very, very tinkery little friend named Than. He's already been helping out with the military. You might want to ask him if he wants to be reassigned to that. He has made some incredible inventions, some of which were of the more war adjacent variety. He might be very helpful for that.
Is he the strange fellow that's been following around Mrs. Rukeldust?
Probably yes.
Yes, okay. We will definitely take him under our wing as well. She's been a valuable asset, by the way. You've all done very well with that. And actually, I think this is an appropriate time to mention that. And he kind of like walks up to you, Melvin and Willow, and puts 2 pins on both of you. You are now lieutenants of the Calaman military. Your responsibilities will stay the same as under Marshal Nestra's orders, but you just have a little more power amongst the ranks here. And just so you all know, I'll share this. Sneak and Lyx, you also will be promoted in due time. Obviously, you're not here. But let me see, I think I should have it here. Oh yeah, the military benefits. So I just kind of updated the military benefits for you all because it's been buffed.
I'm about to make everybody call me Lieutenant DeLing all the time.
Yeah,
you will refer to me as Lieutenant DeLing, dude.
Yeah, so the way the commander describes it is you still have the autonomy of your of doing intelligence gathering or helping in battle or whatever, but you just have this now to help, technically you can command small little groups. I shared the military benefits rank lieutenant for you all. Now you have 10% off all military products. So the super expensive military store is a little cheaper. It's still pretty unaffordable, but it's something. You guys have this as a group, 100 gold to go to your house. It's like a house credit thing. Little benefit there for your home. So some free gold to spend only on the house. And then you each get 200 gold. So you guys can do that, even Lyx and Sneak, for helping defend Calaman and for saving the Marshal and Sir Dracorn.
We're accepting it on their behalf since they
Yeah,
are
sure. Okay. Yeah.
Willow will also take the opportunity trying to make a at least decent connection with the commander, just show a sign of respect and thanks for the upgrade in rank, I guess.
Yes, and he kind of looks at you and says, congratulations, and kind of does like a little thing there, or I don't know, whatever the Cowman salute. We can maybe come up with the Cowman salute if you guys want. I haven't really thought about that. Yeah, does a cool Cowman salute. I think that's lame. We're not going to do that one. We'll do a Cowman salute thing, and then he goes back. And then he says, well then, Melvin, Willow, and Levna, you're welcome to stay for this, but I agree, we need to announce ourselves to this army.
and we need to retaliate immediately. But I want us to be smart and strategic about this. I hear word from you all, from saving Titina, that there was some Red Dragon Army soldiers that you all faced in the Esterbrook south of Calaman, correct? Very well then. It sounds like there's goblin hordes there, perhaps led by ogres from Tamambusuk. Legions that we've faced before in Calaman, but as brigands and as thieves more than in tribes trying to take land more than an army. So, Lord Baccharis, I am ordering you to lead a battalion to the Ketlar Midlands to take over that territory and protect it. We know Vogler has fallen to a massive force, so I will not risk our troops to attack there just yet, but perhaps we can push our forces to claim our territories to the east. Am I making myself clear, Lord Baccharis, General Baccharis? And then he looks around kind of like nervously, and he's like, yes, sir, of course, this should be a child's play for me. But I will say, it'd be nice to have at least one adept soldier or knight with me. But seeing the state that Sir Dracorn is in, and Sir Vitus cannot leave Calaman, perhaps I'll take the young man. I know him, he's from Vogler. I want him to come. I want him to come with me and serve me in this battalion. I could use his guidance. His master was a general. He would be of great value to me. And then Commander
my dead body.
And then Commander Gaius actually looks at you sternly and says, stand down. Stand down, Lieutenant. Do you stand down, or do you say anything more?
I am only going to add that I knew the person who trained him, and I promised her that I would take care of him, and that I don't trust this man to take care of him. And then I stand down.
And then Commander Gaius looks at you and says, the general is going to need good soldiers out there. We don't know what he's going to run into. It sounds like Darrett himself is a skilled warrior, and he's very knowledgeable on the tactics of battle. I've seen some of that ability.
I'm not arguing he isn't. I'm saying that I don't trust the guidance that he would be under. I'm not saying he wouldn't be an asset. I need him to come back.
General Baccharis says, kind of like smiles at you a little bit, and he says, he's going to be fine. Under my guidance, he'll be all right.
I think Thaddeus is going to chime in real quick. Thaddeus is going to chime in real quick, and he says, he's been able to live this long, hasn't he? You have to have some faith in Derek. You have to have a little faith in the man. And then he's going to stop talking.
I have faith in Darren. I have no faith in a coward.
And then the group, the room kind of gets alive to that. And I think we could take a break. We could take a break and come back to this little tense moment, this little exchange. This is kind of the last thing I had for the High Council meeting. So we'll come back to now Lord Baccharis wanting Darrett Highwater to help him out in this conquest of the Kletar Midland. So let's come back at 8:10. Yeah, so the immovable rod is lost. Technically, like half of your claw, right? You're basically the actual claw part of your claw shot's gone.
Yeah, it's gone.
South cut the rope. The martial swords are gone. Huh?
Anyone have the find object spell above table?
I don't know. Yeah, that would be helpful. You know, those spells that you think will never be helpful until the perfect moment comes and it's like, damn it.
Hopefully your old Rukal dust could help me build something else to replace it.
Hopefully. True. Yeah, so we'll go back to the meeting. Basically, it's a little tense. Baccharis is basically saying, listen, I want a Knight of Solamnia with me. I need their expertise. Although my ancestor was one, I am clearly not a Knight of Solamnia, and Sir Vitus must stay in Calaman. Levna's in no state to help. The marshal's unconscious. The rest have died or are missing. And then Commander Gaius says,
give me your word that he'll come back fine.
I'm not going to send the boy to his death, if that's what you're asking. Or myself, and my own son will be joining me too. I would not send them into needless death and destruction. And then Commander Gaius says, Willow, I can give you access, and Darrett can take one of my finest messenger hawks, and you can have access to this, so that communication won't be limited between you two. Would that help ease any of your worries and concerns?
I clearly don't have the ability to choose whether or not this happens, so I would feel much better with that, but I would request that it has to be his choice. If he doesn't want to go, he doesn't. He probably will want to go out of a sense of duty to his homeland, but I need it to be his choice.
And Commander Gaius says, very well, I can accept those terms.
And Lord Bakaris kind of like is like, what? And he looks at him. He looks at Lord Bakaris and he says, you know the girl speaking the truth. A knight of Solamnia lives by their honor.
Thank you,
And
Commander.
then
This is very generous, and I appreciate it.
then he kind of like nods at you. And then, there's more blabber going on, more logistical bullshit, more talking about the war and shit. But yeah, really, unless anyone has anything that they think needs to be brought up, I think that's a pretty good place to end with the High Council meeting. So it sounds like most likely our friend Darrett will be leaving us to join Lord Bakaris's battalion. Time passes and it's the next day. And hopefully you've all long rested at some point, but definitely long rest if you haven't. But time passes. It's the next day, and the days kind of keep going along. As Darrett does eventually find his way, 2 days have passed actually, and General Bakaris and their battalion are about to head out. And a few hours before this happens, Darrett is visiting Lyx and Sneak, and he kind of goes up to each of them. He goes up to you first, Sneak, and just says, I don't know if you can teach me this, Sneak, but I really need to learn how to be brave like you, how to face danger in the eye. I saw Soth from so far away and I froze. I couldn't do anything. I don't know how you do it, bud, but I really hope one day I can get some of that courage from you, some of that spark. And he actually like holds your hand, Sneak, but obviously you're unconscious. Or he doesn't hold your hand, but he like has his hand on your hand, and he kind of smiles at you, maybe like reminiscing on funny Sneak things. As all of a sudden, from a corner near Sneak, Darrett is shocked by such nice words. And then he's like, oh, he kind of like jumps back at Ma, who's still there. And she's like still kind of napping. She doesn't like prop up or anything to look at him. She's just kind of there, and Sneak's a little, or Darrett's a little uncomfortable, but also kind of, he thinks it's endearing. And then to you, Lyx, he again, look, he's seen you before, but a look of trying to be brave comes across his face, and he says, I remember, he kind of like reminisces about a story of the beach, just you playing on the beach, running around with your parents and with other kids in Vogler, and Darrett was always kind of the shy kid in the background who wasn't able to really like join in on the crowd and in the playtime, but he kind of just shares how like he just always appreciated the fun and the chaos that you kind of brought to the coast and to the beaches. And he just says that he feels like Becklin saw you as someone so special, and he now understands better what she saw after all these years and after what you've become. And he holds your hand, Lyx, and kind of looks at your wounds and says, I promise I won't be useless against Soth next time. I'm gonna be there to help you, Lyx, and Sneak, and all of you. And I don't think anyone else is in the room here, so he's just like kind of just saying this. He's like, I promise I'm not gonna die. I'll be back. And he's kind of trying to fight back tears and trying to like force himself to be brave as he like stands up and like puts on his Knights of Solamnia double horn helmet and looks at his friends, Sneak and Lyx, before walking out of the room. Is there anything that Melvin or Willow say as there's a battalion now, a bunch of soldiers on horses, blue armor, flags in the air, banners in the air, spears, swords, Lord Bakaris at the front. It looks like General Rodan's actually going to lead another battalion somewhere else in the west. They discuss another kind of fort area. So they're kind of going to be together, those forces, for some time before splitting off. So it's quite the spectacle, quite the force. There's music, there's people waiting and cheering a couple days after this attack as Calaman is retaliating, and these soldiers are about to head out from the eastern gate, the Warrior's Gate as it's called, coincidentally enough, the Warrior's Gate, the east gate of Calaman. That's the gate that you've all been taken to go south to the woods and to see the new Atari temple and all that stuff. Any farewell messages to Darrett, who has decided to go?
Wait, are we like in front of Darrett, or is Darrett down there?
Yeah. You guys are at the battalion. Maybe Darrett's on a horse now, or about to get on a horse, or a carriage or something, or a wagon. Sorry, not carriage.
I think he's going to walk up there with Willow, and he's going to reach into his bag and hand him, how many potions do I have?
Oh shit.
I'm going to hand him 2 healing potions.
And then Darrett's like, "Really? Are you sure?" And then he kind of like looks at his own armor and stuff, and like realizes what he's doing, and he's like, "Thank you so much, friend." And he like gives you a huge hug. He gives you like a really strong hug, kind of answering his own question, and he takes him.
He's also going to give him. No, sorry.
Okay. Darrett's like, "What? That's it?" No, I'm just kidding.
So I think Willow's gonna step up and just start off by saying, I'm so proud of you. I wanted it to be your decision, knowing that you would probably want to go out of a sense of duty. And I know you want to make Becklin proud, but I also want you to remember that we want you to come home. I have full faith and confidence in your abilities. I do not in the person who is leading you. If he tells you to do something that you fully disagree with or think will get you and your fellow soldiers killed, don't listen. Come back, okay?
And he's like, "Yeah, obviously I agree with you. But the way I see it, and I think maybe how Becklin would have seen it, is there has to be someone that helps these people not go to their deaths. And maybe Bakaris is more knowledgeable than I think. I'll find that out soon. But you're right. I will come back. I promised Lyx already and Sneak, and I'll make that same oath to you, and to you too, Melvin." And he kind of does, he's struggling to say more. He kind of just puts on his helmet. He's like, "Well, you got my hawk," he kind of like nervously says, and kind of has like a nervous laugh at that.
She's just gonna pull him in for a huge bear hug.
Yeah, and he embraces you immediately. And yeah, the crowd, you guys kind of hear some murmurs from the crowd that are like, "Wait, isn't that hey, yeah, that's the one that saved the marshal. Yeah, oh, they know that other knight of Salah." You kind of hear those murmurs. They're like, "Wait, what's going on there? Are they a thing? Is she a thing with that knight? What's going on?" Blah, blah, and like all these stupid rumors and stuff. The crowd kind of going as trumpets start blaring, playing some kind of tune, maybe a tune of Calaman, and they all start marching out as our friend Darrett is on horseback now. Battalion's leaving, and they go out to the opening, and then eventually to the plains of the Kletar Midlands.
Willow is gonna stay and watch for as long as they're in visual sight.
Yeah. But yeah, they kind of go marching as the people are cheering, and it's very patriotic, pretty epic music as Darrett is marching off into the morning. I would say this is probably a morning time thing. It sounds like they will be heading east to this giant kind of plains section of Calaman, in between the Dargard Mountains and another giant set of mountains called the Kalkist Mountains. Cool. And another day passes as more people are visiting, Sneak and Lyx, more family, more friends. Maybe you all again, Willow and Melvin every now and then. At a certain point, Melvin, you do meet up with Lyx's dad, Waywin, as he starts teaching you a traditional instrument from his home of Kendermore. I think, if I have that right, Lyx. I think he is from Kendermore. And it's kind of a flute instrument. It's, I think, a new type of instrument for you, Melvin. So you spend a few hours learning this as he kind of teaches you this jingle on the flute and tells you that it's kind of a traditional instrument of the wood gnomes. Okay, this is the military music I was waiting for. Doesn't really fit anymore. But anyways, Waywin's teaching you this flute music with Misko, our friend Misko, and you all practice. Why don't you do a performance check for me, Melvin? And Willow, is there anything you do during this time of Lyx and Sneak still being unconscious? Anything else you do as our friend Darrett has left? Sneak, at some point, your sister Sly visits you and kind of just like tries to tell you some jokes, but obviously no one's laughing. Every now and then, Mom might have like a little chuckle. And then she's like, "This is all the love language I kind of have right now." And then she like drops 20 gold on your chest and she's like, "All right, I hope you get better, Stubbs." And then she like walks out awkwardly. So when you wake up, Sneak, you're gonna have 20 gold, 20 more gold that you can add. She just gave you money. Okay,
Can you
that's
imagine like I instantly like wake up like,
Yeah, the money.
$20? Thank you.
Yeah, exactly. That revives you. Yeah. So Willow, sorry. Anything that you want to do during this weird time?
Once everything kind of settled down a little bit, she definitely went to go visit Isabella to let her know what happened to Lyx and Sneak in case she wanted to go visit if she's comfortable leaving. Also,
don't find her there. You don't find her in Temple Nuatari. But actually, I think this makes sense. Let's say a couple days before or a day before, a strange, large woman with a weird black veil approaches you and says, "How are Lyx and Sneak? Are they okay?"
I think they're gonna be. Who are you?
And then she's like, "Oh, I forgot to change my voice. My apologies." And it starts to sound like Isabella as this large old woman who you guys don't know yet, actually. But she's the same one that I've kind of, alluded to with that was with Script or whatever. She's like, "Oh, I've been gallivanting around with old Script there, obviously in disguise, just to see this place again." And she's like, "Is Lyx okay? I dare not go into the White Robes territory."
Yes, it is my understanding that Lyx and Sneak will eventually be okay. So will Nestor. I don't know if you know of her or if you've heard of her from our previous conversations. She's going to take a little bit longer, but yeah, hopefully Lyx and Sneak will be better in, I think, a couple weeks was the estimate. I don't really know. It's magic, so it's not an exact science. That's a very neat trick you have. Cool. I'm glad you're getting out.
Yeah, I still have to be cautious as I'm sure there's Tide users that might be able to see through my disguise, but it is nice to see this place again, and it's so different and crazy now. But I guess I'm happy that Lyx and Sneak are going to be okay. If you have the opportunity to, and she gives you a couple of black roses from the tree that was inside Nuatari. She kind of just is requesting that when you have a moment to just drop them off.
I got a couple errands to run, but I'll drop these off to them as soon as I can and let them know that you're thinking of them and that you'll see them as soon as you can.
Thank you so much. And really, truly, thank you all for everything.
Before she goes away, he's gonna ask her about the tattoo, the ink of
Oh, yeah.
Nuatari, and like ask her to repeat that. Basically, it'll shield him from being seen by either red or white.
Well, it will make it look as if you're an initiate of the black robes. But you really should get that done before, I forget what they're called. I think the Moonlight Enforcers, before they get to you if they haven't already. You really should find some kind of artist that can help you there.
Come on, Vitalia. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Cool. So do you do that?
Can we?
Do you go for that tattoo?
Yeah, we can say that happens.
Okay. Yeah, and just real quick, you kind of get to Vitalia's place. She's in that like outer ring area, basically where you guys are. It's pretty run down. She's got a really shanty, ugly sign outside her door that says Vats Tats, and she helps you. She takes your weird ink, and she's like super excited, and she's like smoking her pipe. She's like, "Oh, this is so weird. Oh, I love it. This is so cute." And it's like it's just a really weird thing, and she takes a big hit. It looks like there's some weird kind of like bald half ogre man just sitting on a couch, like looking angrily at nothing nearby. And very noticeably, there are many Kender in her home. Like 5 Kender children, 3 to 5 adults, and some of them are rummaging through her stuff. It looks like they're just straight up taking her stuff. Children like running, literally like Home Alone or whatever, like just classic
running amok,
swinging on her fucking chandeliers and curtains and shit. It's just a fucking mess as you're getting your tattoo. If you do want to ask any questions or roleplay, you can, but that is the scene right now. She's kind of just blabbering on, like just saying like, "Oh yeah, and just so you know, these are just, I don't know, they said they were from Kendermore, their home got destroyed or something. It's really sad. So I just let them stay here for now." And they're like clearly like just running around and like taking her shit. But it looks like some of them are like kind of setting up a place. Like they have their blankets and they're kind of vibing. Yeah, bunch of Kender, little kids hiding in cupboards and just playing and throwing shit around. There's kitchen stuff everywhere. It's pretty chaotic, but she does eventually finish your tattoo and you now have a very good tattoo. She did an excellent job of a new Atari symbol, and it's now this magical ink that looks as if it's real, as if you are actually a part of the Black Robes. 5 gold. She does ask this time. She does.
Yeah, that's okay, but I'll give.
It seems like she seems a little like she still seems secretly stressed at her situation, even though she's acting all positive.
I'm going to slip her 36 gold.
Whoa, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
She's elated. She's elated, and she actually invites you for dinner and says like she'll grab dinner for everybody here, and they can have like a feast, and that you're being way too nice, and this is the best tip she's ever gotten.
Melvin's gonna just, I don't know, just kind of smile, nod, and say thank you. It's been tough, but
Are you
thanks
gonna
for the
stay for
touching.
dinner
Oh
or?
yeah, yeah, yeah. Stayed for
Oh, okay,
dinner.
okay, cool.
He definitely
Yeah,
stayed for dinner.
cool. So yeah, let's say that was like maybe the day after the High Council meeting, you got this done, and this was your day, Melvin. You got your tattoo, maybe practiced a bit with Waywin, and then had a dinner with Vitalia and a bunch of Kender, and it's a mess, but it was very good food. It was very good food. It's you're amongst the refugees and kind of the not so well off of Calaman. And yeah, and it seems like the half ogre guy, since you stayed, it seems like that's her husband, is this kind of grumpy looking, bald, half ogre dude. Kind of Gurganis, but, more lumpy, not fit and super insanely strong. Kind of wearing just like a basic little polo, actually, funnily enough. So another half ogre here. Alrighty. And I actually want to jump to Sneak as something crazy happens, Sneak.
Uh-oh.
When Sly drops that gold on your chest and she's walking out, Melvin. So now we're back a few more days, like 3 or 4 more days from what we just went through. Melvin Waywin, Lyx's dad, comes in his wheelchair. The white robes kind of like notice the wheelchair finally and are like, whoa, they're kind of taken aback. Some of the white robes that are nearby at the front door, that he's moving on his own, right? Just controlling on his own. And Misko come in. Misko's kind of carrying a few stools. Maybe you're carrying a stool, Melvin, or like grabbing chairs from nearby or whatever, as they're going to do a little song for Lyx Sneak. Except Sneak, as Sly threw that gold, you actually did wake up how you did. It actually happened. I'm not even kidding. So like maybe she drops it, she's walking away, and Sneak, the experience you had with where you're like, well, I think I'm bored, and you like kind of feel something on your chest. I forget exactly how it ended with but yours like, okay, you can go back. And you breathe, you wake up, gold kind of like falls on your lap. Your ma's next to you. You see Melvin about to perform. He's got a flute. Yep, you got a flute. Kind of imagine kind of maybe a pan flute kind of style thing, Melvin. Misko there, our masked red friend is there. It looks like he's helping with the lute. And Waywin's there in a wheelchair. And ma's like, oh, are you there? Is that you, oh little Sneak?
That's such like a very like Sneak way to wake up. This is like I imagine like as soon as the gold or the bills like hit me, I was like ugh. And when she's like, are you awake? I'm gonna be like, yeah, what's up, y'all? And just breathe heavily.
Yeah, and like Waylon is shocked, and the white robes are like, "What? You're already back?" And your ma just kind of like snuggles next to you, and she's like, "He's back." Yeah, I don't know, Melvin. You see this as you were getting ready to perform. Your friend Sneak suddenly has woken up. Is there anything you do? Willow, I don't know if you were here too, if you want to be.
If anything, I see like Melvin getting ready to play. I'm like, rip that shit, dog.
Yeah, and Sneak, you're still in pain, actually. It kind of hurts to like move a lot, but you're back. You are back. Like you're kind of like, oh shit. Like you kind of feel like a little bit of a pain on your chest and your legs, and you're still like, yeah, maybe not gonna jump out of this bed quite yet. As you're like, rip that shit.
Tears down the face, and
Okay, we start, yeah. And then, Waylon's like, then this is for you too. It was always going to be for you too, little Sneak, but now you can see it live. And then he's like, but he kind of like tells the white robes, like, maybe go tell his family immediately and everyone that Sneak is back. So yeah, the white robes kind of shuffle to go do that as finally Misko, Melvin, and Waywin Sparkle Boots perform. It's called Rio Abajo. It's a Baldur's Gate 3 song. It's called Down by the River in English, Down by the River. Very, very pretty song, but I found a cool Spanish version of it. So pretend, I won't play the whole thing, but pretend this is like a, more masculine voice, maybe slightly more humble instrumentation, but they start performing this beautiful song, and you can roll for performance if you want, Melvin, trying out this new wind instrument, but you don't have to. As your dad plays this song, Lyx, that you haven't heard for a while, that he used to sing to you all the time in the coast. And Lyx, we can take it back if you want to being with Yor.
Yeah, I mean, I think, I can't remember exactly what Yor was telling me besides like, shut up, and then I was fishing when I heard this song.
Yeah, so what like memories go through your head, Lyx,
as you hear a familiar song of your pa. I remember you were emotional at the moment when you heard it from the other world.
Tears streaming down my face. I think I can see the bait and tackle shop that's now Waywin's bait and tackle that's now Ash's. I see his excited face when Willow catches one of the great creatures of the river. How excited.
The line breaker, yeah.
Yeah, how excited he was. I just see him looking at me and looking at Bilbrick. I think like it's just the genuine character of him that is tugging on my heart.
Yeah, and Bill Bricks is here too. Obviously, he would have been here. And Mayor Raven, I would say, came for this. Sneak, is there anything, you're awake now, but this song maybe reminds you of Vogler, I think, and maybe your treehouse just kind of, you may have heard this song, you know, Waywin perform it to Lyx or, you know, every now and then through your time in Vogler. Is there any memories that come up to you about your treehouse or Vogler or your family?
I think definitely Sneak, as he's coming into reality, he has like the flashback of like his life leading up till now. You know, he sees his whole life inside that Vogland forest, you know, and he's very reminiscent of it. And as he's listening to the music, and I think that's why he asked Melvin to play that music. He's like, yo, hit that shit, dog. Like, because he needed to kind of hear that so he could like get a reset of like what had happened previously to him to lead up to these events in a way, if that makes sense. So
yeah, I love that. I love that. Yeah, and your mom's kind of vibing to the music too. As Lyx, breath comes to you, the end of the song has hit. Tears are down your face probably. And I mean, Bill Bricks immediately rushes to you. Waywin, as fast as he can, rushes to you, and they just give you the biggest group hug imaginable, just crying and just so happy and ecstatic that you are back. As suddenly the stone door shifts and the rest of the Delings are there. Sly was already there in shock staring at you, Sneak. She hasn't said a word as this performance is gone. And Smarts kind of like pushes her out of the way of Pa and like jumps into the air, landing right on you, probably causing a little bit of pain as he lands on you, and just hugs you intensely. And is just like, I thought we lost you, Stubbs. And he is kind of tearing up. He's kind of trying to hold it back as Pa's kind of like petting your head awkwardly.
I'd like to whisper into my brother's ear, like, thank you for everything you do. I see you out here always doing everything. Appreciate you.
If there's a thing to be done, then I'm the every to be doing that thing. And he's just like kind of crying and hugging you. As Sly is like, okay, did anyone see that? I mean, I threw money on the guy and he woke up, and she's like not really going up to you yet and just kind of like looking at the room, not reading the vibes right. As Lyx and your dad's, yeah, Lyx, what are you doing? I mean, they're just super hug, just kissing you, just so happy.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just a very interesting parallel because we had a group hug leaving Vogler on the boat. And, you know, at that point, Waywin was injured, but now it's like the stakes are so much higher, right? Like I'm totally scarred. They see these scales on me. Waywin's in a wheelchair. Bilbrick's is thinner. Like I think the stress has like gotten him a little thin. So I think that we're holding on to each other for like dear life, just crying and feeling that all that emotion. So it's like, you know, you got the little curtain between the patients. Sneaks like,
yeah, Sneak's kind of in pain a little bit with his family smothering him. But yeah, you guys are getting very emotional. I mean, they're like obviously saying, you know, just so happy to have our little Pebble back, you know, our little bird, and just really just being loving parents. And suddenly the stone door shift, and there's Willow, Venra, Misko, and Melvin. You're kind of now in the back of the room seeing this. Is there anything any of you do? Your friends are back. Yeah, maybe the families kind of like ease up on their kids and give them room, but they're still like right next to them. But
I think
yeah,
Melvin's going to grab Willow's hands pretty excitedly as soon as she gets in there and run inside. Sneak first.
I would probably yell, bombers!
Ronsters. And just goes and gives him a hug.
I would also hug back. Very happy and excited that I was somehow able to be alive.
I would like quietly request that Bilbrick or Misko or someone push the beds together.
Yeah, Misko like almost like a soldier is like, yes, right away. He's kind of weird about it, but he's like
kind of awkward in this situation and just wants to be of service, immediately gets on your side and like alone, he's actually stronger than he looks, like starts pushing your bed toward Sneak as Smarts and Sly also easily push Sneak and Ma's still on the bed, toward each other. Now the beds are combined. It kind of looks like there was a white robe that was about to like interject and they just kind of like stopped themselves.
I would reach over Ma and just like reach my hand out to Lyx and just grab her hand just because like, yeah, we're alive. Like we made it, dude.
I was gonna look Sneak in the eye and say, I watched you go. I can't believe we're here.
100%.
Yeah, Willow is like, as soon as she enters the room and sees that they're like conscious, is just like the way that you just silently cry, like if nobody was looking over, they wouldn't know, but as soon as they look, it's just tears streaming down, and just slowly goes and joins the little circle of happy.
Love it, love it. Yeah, and maybe obviously a lot of time passes, I would imagine, during this point. Maybe 30 minutes to 2 hours, right, of just being together again. Not really. Most people, I think, unless you guys and your characters want to, but my character's not really trying to ask about what happened yet. Not really trying to ask about the darkness on Lyx and the horrible scars. Every now, I think Misko might play the Song of Healing at a certain point just to keep the vibes going. But yeah, if there's anything your characters do during that block, feel free to speak up and say something.
I think definitely it's just like Sneak is so happy that I was able to survive it. I definitely am not thinking about the past. I'm not thinking about how I even got into this situation. I'm just happy to be here for this right now, and I'm already looking to the future. That's it.
I just think at some point Willow is going to, since the beds are pushed together, just kind of quietly get closer to Lyx and Sneak and just word vomit apologies for having left them, and now knowing what happened, that she didn't think that was how that was going to go down, and she just saw, Nestor falling and she had to go, and she kind of regrets that at this point.
Lyx wants to pull Willow into a cuddle puddle onto the bed. Is Melvin on the bed?
No, Melvin's actually standing.
No, I got a cuddle puddle.
I don't know. He's gonna
Straight
come,
up cuddle puddle.
Cuddle puddle, but he feels a little guilty. He feels a little awkward. After the initial hugs and hearing Willow sort of word vomit, Melvin realizes that he too has something to like fess up about, and he's gonna say that I'm really sorry, and I barely know how to say this, but I had to stake behind Melodia. Anyway, when I got to the ledge, I just couldn't jump. Oh, like Sneak, I couldn't jump.
That was 5 minutes ago, 5 days ago, 5 hours ago. I don't know. That was in the past, dude. Who cares? We're now. Join this cuddle puddle.
I just want to point out that like Willow and Melvin are like huge in comparison, like almost like parent and child height difference. I just want everyone to have that visual, because I thought that was really funny.
Definitely.
I imagine when it's like a cat sneaks between somebody when they're like normally sleeping, like we're the size of a cat and you're like a normal human.
Melvin, what do you do? Your friend Sneak says it's all good, man. It's all in the past. Come join our cuddle party.
I guess he's going to look for Lyx's permission on the way over.
Lyx is just going to ask both of them, did you save people?
So by both of them, you mean Melodia and Melvin?
I'm going to ask Melvin and Willow.
Okay.
Were your actions worthwhile? Did you do things worthwhile?
I saved Levna. We saved Levna.
Then you made the right decision.
Well, Lyx, Melvin sort of goes and, cuddle puddle.
Willow is going to kind of look away and kind of feel ashamed. Honestly, not really. When we were falling through the air, I couldn't grab her, and she'll kind of look over to Misko. If he wasn't there to slow the fall, it wouldn't have made a single difference. I didn't do anything. And people keep looking at me like I saved her, and I didn't. And I just basically left you guys.
It's an A for effort. We're the 4 best friends that anybody could have. We're the 4 best friends that anybody could have. We're the 4 best friends that anybody could have.
I'm going to start laugh crying at that.
Misko actually steps in at hearing what you just said, Willow, and says, It was your beautiful wings that caught my eye and made me rush to that area. Were it not for your bravery, Willow, I don't know if I would have seen the Marshal fall at the speed that she fell. You shouldn't belittle your efforts.
You did jump down after her, something that me and Lyx could not do. So
And
we
to be
appreciate that
fair,
effort.
it's still hazy, but I'm pretty sure Sneak and I jumped first. We led the way. It was our own stupidity that made us think we could do anything.
Our own reckless actions.
I mean, look at me.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I could have gotten you guys out, and I chose to try to go after her, and I'm just struggling with that. I appreciate what you said, Misko, and that does help, but it's still, I don't like leaving people.
She said,
No.
"Nah, it's your fault." No, I'm just kidding.
Misko says, I totally understand, Willow, but your friends are here. As Sneak has said, they are here with us, and hopefully the Marshal will join us all soon too. And the Marshal, she's a beacon of hope in this city. You saving her, it really could make a bigger difference than you could possibly imagine. And then as he says that, he's like, I've actually heard that the Spiralune, or the United Restoration. So Spiralune means United Restoration in Elvish. Melvin, you would know Spiralune means United Restoration. And he's just saying that it sounds like the United Restoration has started today. And apparently this is a ritual where people, all the people of Kalaman, anyone who wants to, can go to whomever is being restored in this way and offer their best wishes, their prayers, whatever they want, to try and send good energy to that person, to try and help with their healing process, because the Marshal's wounds are that intense and grievous, and whatever dark energy is in her now requires the most powerful healing. Misko basically saying it is possible to go visit her, and he may visit her today himself. And yeah, Lyx, kind of when you point out your scars, but her parents are concerned, and the white robes say stuff to her, or they're there. Lyx, you're there. Yeah, there is, so our friend Myathathiel, actually, the Yori, the head Yori, if you remember her, dark-skinned elf woman with white robes, comes in. She's kind of like, I don't want to crash the party, Lyx and family, and I'm guessing, and she kind of looks around at everyone. Misko has left at this point. Mayor Raven has left. You know, it's mostly the family and probably Melvin and Willow, if I had to imagine. Actually, the Delings left too. But Ma is willing to stay, Sneak, unless you want her to go.
Yeah, she should go.
Okay. Yeah, Sly picks her up, and Ma's just like, what a nice nap, and just kind of like gets taken away. So yeah, your family actually leaves, so it's just these two beds joined together, the Sandbottoms, all of you, the Sandbottoms. And Myathathiel says, we certainly will not need to talk about this now. And the white robes, you know, during this like couple hours, like do these final like little, you know, spells and tests on you two, and just kind of get you going, get your clothes back and all that stuff. One of our lunar masters will have to see you soon, like, because it seems you have some kind of intense darkness within you, one that we could sense simply by you walking around, at least those of us with the skill. And like your parents look kind of concerned at that, but it's not necessary now, and there's more important things to get to. And all our lunar masters are completely occupied at the moment, but you will, when possible and available, need to be seen by one of them, because it seems that you have a darkness that may be tearing you apart from the inside, something very serious. But our skills alone, even our most skilled sorcerers available to us, can't figure out what this is. How do you react to that, Lyx?
Okay.
And she says, right. And we also noticed that you are a member of the Temple of Nuatari.
Yes.
Which school do you come from?
How do you mean?
Which temple? What region? Is there one in Vogler? I wasn't aware of that.
No, I was inducted in the one in Kalaman.
That's impossible. I've heard of the resurgence of this temple, but it's empty. Okay. And I'm only asking these questions for the benefit of you all. It's not my job to enforce anything upon you, Lyx. I'm just trying to warn you that the Moonlight Enforcers will be approaching you if this is true. You really didn't go to another school? Palanthus, Black Robes, or a school to the south I'm not sure of?
What hood you from, dog?
Sorry, I missed that.
Was that Lyx?
No, I was just saying, what hood you from? You're saying, what
basically.
school you from?
Literally. What Black Robe hood are you from? They have
I
hoods.
don't know.
Is it helpful if I like throw like a persuasion? So like,
No, probably not. Unless, what is it?
can I use a helping action to help Lyx Boost the charisma.
as you try to jump in, a very strange figure comes out of invisibility from behind Miathethiel. It looks like they have black, almost pitch black eyes, but they're wearing white robes, and they look like very creepy and menacing all of a sudden. And Miathethiel kind of like catches her head. She's like, "Oh, I tried." As this person looks at you, Melvin, not Lyx, looks at you, Melvin, and says, "Melvin Zalafin. You may be unaware of this, but in Calaman we have a law that Tide users must be enrolled of a school of lunar sorcery. You triggered our magical glyphs in this very room. You used healing magic on your friend here, and you also cracked our floors with some kind of spell. You will need to contact the lunar sorcery advisors within the month. Otherwise, the Moonlight Enforcers may get involved." Do I make myself clear? And this is a very huge human, very intimidating white robe. They look nothing really like the other white robes, as you've finally been caught by the Moonlight Enforcers. And these are the same ones that Theriatus was talking about, right? To recruit them to help fight in the war. What do you do, Melvin?
Melvin is terrified. Melvin is scared shitless. I kind of fucked up. I shouldn't have cracked nobody's floors. Melvin's like actually like reeling inside, like, "Oh man, you shouldn't have cracked nobody's floors." So...
And then Miathethiel actually like kind of like touches the this Moonlight Enforcer and says, "Let's give them the time. They've done a lot. We can follow up with these bureaucratic nonsense later. You all should go get some fresh air and perhaps visit the Marshal and send her your good wishes, if you will." And the Moonlight Enforcer just kind of like looks at you, Melvin, and Lyx. He actually does look at you intensely and like your scars and stuff, and goes invisible and like walks away.
It's straight up a good thing that Sneak wasn't there, because I would have been like, dude.
You're there. Sneak, you're there in the bed.
Oh, dude, I
Unless you left. You can say something.
Oh, man.
Willow, you're there as far as I know.
I would have been talking some shit, dude.
You can.
Shit. Man, I would have told them Enforces nothing, dude. We're the Bronze Birds, dude. We don't like you can't kill me in ways that matter, dude.
The Moonlight Enforcer just kind of looks at you and doesn't say anything. And just keeps looking intensely at Melvin and Lyx.
So Willow had initially like really tensed up because she really hates being surprised. She's a very nervous person. And then assessing the situation, and then what Sneak says, "My apologies. He's been mostly dead for a couple days. Just ignore him. Sorry."
And he like looks at you intensely with these pitch black eyes, almost like a new moon. There's like maybe slight remnants of like little, kind of irises, but it's mostly pitch black eyes. No, I forget what the white of your eyes are called. None of that. As he just kind of nods at you. He says, "Very well then. We are aware of you now, Lyx and Melvin, and we will expect communication soon." And then he does his disappearing thing.
I'm going to have a real quick chat with these bronze bombers about all of that. Hey, listen, we got to stop letting fucking people push us around. Stuff like that ain't a good no-go. Like, you remember when the little brown eyes, the little turd eyes, dude? You remember when they came and said some shit to me? We can't let that shit happen, dude. Fuck them, dude. All right? So remember that, Melvin. Fuck them, dude. What are they going to do, dude? Nothing, dude.
And then Miathethiel hears this, and she says...
No, he doesn't. No, it doesn't.
No, this is the white robe lady. She's here. She didn't leave. She says, "The Moonlight Enforcers have the means to seal your tidal powers if you do not join a lunar sorcery school. I would take them very, very seriously. It's called an eclipse. It's called an eclipse seal. The eclipse seal." Do a history check, Sneak. Or an intelligence, whatever you want, intelligence or history. And this is...
Can I do one?
Sure, but this is actually a different history check I'm doing for Sneak. What are you
Okay, never mind.
You can if you want, if you have something specific you're trying to look for, Melvin. Sneak, this is something related to something that's happened to you.
Melvin would be too terrified.
It's not good, buddy. You don't remember shit. It's okay. Okay. Anyways,
Hit my poor noggin. I didn't know.
Miathethiel, whatever the fuck her name is, whatever I named her. She looks at you all and she's like, I'm really sorry for this intrusion, and truly I'm just was trying to be a messenger for and to protect you all. And she says bye. And she kind of like steps back awkwardly and leaves the room. And I think we can end pretty soon unless there's anything you guys want to talk about amongst your group or anything. Are you guys ready to, what is your group wanting to do?
I think real quick, I'm gonna just say, I guess maybe not listen to me. I have a brain injury, obviously, of some sort. So
Waywin actually jumps in and says, well, no, you are right, Sneak. They shouldn't be forced to do anything. They shouldn't be forced to join a school of lunar sorcery just because they're special and have special powers. They should be free to do what they want with those powers. So Waywin's kind of appreciating you, and Bilbrix is just like, didn't you just hear that she could lose all the powers, and the girl Lyx, they have something else going on clearly that they need help with.
And if there's some sort of dampener that can happen on powers, it's kind of restrictive. That means there's some sort of restrictions that's going on for these powers, and that kind of sucks. So if that's what it takes, I don't know. I'll support my friend to do what it needs to do so he can become powerful.
And they just kind of thank you and say, we're just happy that you're back too, Sneak. But if, Lyx, I don't know if anyone else says anything. Are you guys leaving finally? What are you guys going to do? Or I can show the next scene and maybe we'll end on that. Okay, unless anyone has anything else they want to do or say. As you all, like Sneak and Lyx just kind of, doing maybe some stretches and some pretty bad pain. Maybe some of your friends are helping you guys out a little bit. Your dads leave Lyx and they kind of head down when suddenly there's a lot of noise outside. A lot of people sounds, as all of a sudden you guys, oh shit, where did I put this? See, and this will be on Roll20. You guys see a bunch of crowds forming, and you all start seeing almost everyone you've met on your journey so far, all your friends, the Voglins, excited to see Lyx and Sneak, who are back. They start cheering, clapping. The random people of Calaman are also cheering for Sneak and Lyx and Willow and Melvin, saying like, these are the heroes that saved our knights. These are the heroes that tried to protect us. And like, people are cheering. And they're like, on the day that we can visit the marshal too, the gods are with us today. Like, there's like priests and people like kind of cheering, because now people can go visit the marshal as well, who is being healed. And yeah, I don't know, your characters might be taken aback, but you guys see everyone. You see Than and Tatina over here. You see Raven, obviously, and Lyx's dads. Sneak, your family. Sly is kind of on top of that weird, whatever the hell you would call that thing, kind of arch, just dangling her feet as your family's kind of chilling over there. You guys see Coconut Chris with a big stand, just kind of giving out like a bunch of cool fruit shit to people and passerbys. And you guys see Zoblob as well with all kinds of wacky trinkets, just trying to cheer up the crowd. There's a bunch of white robes everywhere. Lines are forming to enter this building over here, walking through. The Rootinials with Buff have a bunch of baked goods, that they're just kind of giving out to people, and they're waving at you, Lyx in particular. Sneak, your family's kind of going crazy for you as well, being happy. And yeah, just random passerbys are just very happy to see all of you, the people who have tried to save Calaman and who saved two of their greatest heroes at the moment. What do you guys do?
Neek is at this point, I think, like while going through the city, is just making face. Like he doesn't see anything as an achievement at this point so far. He hasn't really won. He died. Like he doesn't see any achievement, so he's just making face, just like, yeah. Even to his family, he's like, yeah, but he still has a lot of regret. So
yeah, so you're kind of gloomy, maybe ignoring a lot of the people cheering you on.
I'm acting happy, but I am very gloomy.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden this little kid like kind of runs up to you and he's like, and he's pretty short. He's like, I want to be just like you, mister. You're so brave. I heard about what you did. And it's just this little kid that's like super excited. He's like, you're just like me. You're just as tall as me, but you're a hero.
Nah, kid. Piss off, right?
Melvin is gonna like just collect Sneak from like crushing this child's dream.
Yeah, this kid's like, and like his parents kind of like take him away as they're like a little.
Piss off, you little bastard! No, I'm kidding. I'm just kidding.
It's even funnier.
Like, you haven't even seen more piss off your kid, dude. I haven't seen it either.
He's
Nice.
just gonna put his arm around Sneak and just keep walking.
Where? What are you guys doing? And we can stop soon, but I don't know. Is there any other reactions from? Let's get a reaction from everyone, maybe, and then we'll call it. So, Sneak, you're kind of a little sad and a little gloomy, not too inspiring.
Yeah, I feel
Understandably
honestly
so. I get where you're coming from.
the ultimate reaction is shell shock, and he's trying very hardly to be cool though. He's trying to
Right.
be chill.
Yeah, and you guys kind of hear like people praising you, but there's also a lot of like, the marshal's up there. Let's go, hurry before it gets too full. We must pray for our marshal. Like lots of stuff like that as well.
I think at some point during all this, feeling kind of overwhelmed by everything happening, Willow's just gonna kind of stop and quietly talk to the group. Like, I mean, I don't really feel like it, but I think they see us as heroes. This is weird, right? This is kind of weird.
Totally weird and totally far out.
I mean, I feel like a loser, but it's nice to be appreciated, I suppose.
Maybe that's all heroes are. Maybe they just fake it too.
Yeah, and as you guys are kind of chatting, Tatina and Than walk up to you, Sneak, and they're like, "Hey, bud, we heard your thingy broke, so we made you a brand new one." And they kind of like adjust it onto your claw shot back. They're like, "It's a little sturdier, but the rope is still crap. So be careful with the rope. But the claw shot should be a little firmer now."
Thank you.
Then is just like, I'm really happy you're good, and you too, Lyx.
I will embrace them in a hug.
And then Tatina, yeah. And Tatina's like, yeah, a fan over here that's kind of saved your butt with your family. It was so hot. As she's kind of gushing over Than and you a little bit, Sneak, and she's kind of like, it's good to have you back, hot stuff too to you. Sneak, yeah, I don't know if you put on your mask already. Did you do all that, or are you just kind of like?
Oh, that was one of the first things I did.
Oh, you put all your shit back on. Okay, yeah.
Mhm.
Lyx, how are you looking? Are you like more like hospital roby vibes or humble clothes?
Yeah, I feel like maybe we just got very simple like linens on, and I definitely would give Stan a hug, but I would want to go over to the Root and Eels and Buff.
Before you even do that, Buff was next in line after like these, this big hug, giant Buff. All of a sudden, after all this time, is like, "Whoa, it's the Lyx Sandbottom!" Like kind of picks you up and like starts hugging you like pretty intensely. He's like, "I heard you got messed up real bad, so I got you a mega protein fish pie right here, buddy." And he like kind of like gives it to you like right away. He looks at you, Sneak. He's like, "We also got whatever the hell you want too. If you need anything to recover, or any of you, it's good to see you all."
It's great to see you. How have you been?
Honestly, pretty fucking good, My last name's been Bakerson my whole life, and I've been baking my whole life, and I thought I didn't like it, but turns out I kind of fucking like it, man. It's actually not, and I still like lift a lot, like lift boxes and heavy dough and stuff. It's like the best of both worlds. And he's like, "I'm so happy I like left all that, military training stuff and everything. I don't think that was for me."
Looks like you still got the armor on though.
No, he doesn't. He probably has like a different drip. He's got the baker drip going on. Yeah, sure. Why not? He's got the hat. He's got like the fucking cooking apron and maybe like a classic disgusting gym bro, when they have like the super thin tank tops or whatever where like basically all their tits are hanging out and their rib cage or whatever. Their obliques. That's him right now, but with a cooking apron and a baker hat. Kind of looks like he's in a porno or something. Yeah, and the Root and Eels are like, "Oh, the praised paladine, and so happy that you're okay."
Can I retcon that?
Sure, what are you retconning?
The Root and Eels, I really want like a Mulan moment where I'm like excited to see them, and then like a little bit shows, and like in Mulan when she gets injured and then everybody knows she has breasts, and so everyone hates her.
Sure. So yeah,
I want to feel that. I need somebody to be like, I want the Root and Eels to be like a little bit hesitant.
I mean, it's a little bit of a hard ask. I mean, I think I forgot their first names. Did I really just say David Root and Eel and Donna Root and Eel?
Yeah, Dave and Donna.
Okay. Dave is like, Yep. It's really good to see you, and thanks for leaving us with this big old oaf. Him and his uncle really turned around our shop. Yep. We're making a profit for once. Oh, and he's like not even looking at you really, so he doesn't notice your scars as he's kind of like offering more
He's
pace.
not making eye contact.
No, not really. He's being a little awkward as he's like offering free shit for once, happily, to all of you. But Donna Rutinio is like, oh, praise Paladine. I've been praying to Paladine and Solinari for every night of my life. And then she looks at you and she's like, she actually audibly like gasps and is like in shock as she notices your scars and kind of grabs like one of her Paladine tokens and like kisses it and sort of starts like looking away and doesn't really say anything. She's too nice to say anything, but she is taken aback. And I'll let anyone steal the final scenes if they want, but I have a stupid last scene, I guess, if no one wants to steal it. I'll give you guys 10 seconds. I'll give you this. This will be the end of the session.
I just have a question. Who's the brain?
That's the Delings. Sorry, that's all the Delings. We need to find a better thing for them, Colton. That's smarts technically, but that's all the Delings. Sly's kind of sitting on that arch, kicking her feet. So she's pretty high up, just kind of kicking her feet, hanging out at the top. Maybe some white robes are kind of yelling at her, but the crowd's too busy for them to really do anything. I guess we'll end on this note, and then we'll play it in a month. As all of a sudden, from far away, you guys hear Coconut Chris yell at you all and say, Lidar Caliban herself and her band of heroes. He's like referring to you, Willow, looking at you and calling you Lidara Caladan. Das Gale? And now he kind of looks like a Shakespeare thing or something. He's grabbing his coconut, like just being an absolute moron. Dost Gale, the black horse of Takesis, farewell? What tidings dost thou bringeth of thy steed, Lidara? And he's yelling this across like the crowd as the crowd is like, what the fuck is going on? As this guy is praising you guys to the extreme, totally thinking you're some hero of legend, and he's asking about your horse. So we'll end on that. He wants to make sure your horse is okay. Well, friends, fun session. Yeah, it's pretty much the end. Pretty much the end of this arc. We're kind of, there's a little smidge.